Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, classmates. By the way, we are the Group 6. Our topic is all about project budgeting and cost estimation. Learning objectives. At the end of this lesson, the students are expected to: number 1, recognize the need for cost estimation and budget in project management. Number 2, value those factors that must be considered in improving quality for project times and cost. Number 3, differentiate among methods of estimating cost for a project. Number 4, use the 2 ways of data gathering to obtain input data for budget. Develop process through a case study in order to appreciate its significance. Passions. A well-researched and planned cost estimation and budget is necessary for the successful completion of any project. Project managers need to thoroughly scope the project in order to secure sufficient funding. Scoping involves estimating labor hours, materials, suppliers, and other miscellaneous expenses. For example is highway. Cost estimation and budget in project management. A project budget is a detailed time-based estimate of all resources costs for a project. Typically, a budget is developed in stages which are from preliminary rough estimate to a detailed estimate to a completed approved project budget. Cost estimating is the process of approximating a reasonable time-based budget by identifying the cost of resources required in order to complete project activities. More precise the estimate of the project cost is, the better competent the project manager handles the project's budget. Hence, estimating a project's cost is important for several reasons. It makes possible the project manager to consider probable benefits against estimated costs to say whether a project is logical. Number 2, it permits the project manager to distinguish whether the necessary funds are obtainable to sustain the project. Number 3, it provides us a guideline to help ensure that there is adequate funds to finish project.
Types of project cost. First is direct versus indirect cost. Direct costs are those costs directly related to the project like labor and materials. Direct labor includes workers who were employed to work on the project. Other direct labor consists of materials, travel, consultants, constructors, purchase part, and computer line. Second is recurring versus non-recurring. Costs can also be estimated based on frequency with which they occur and classified as recurring or non-recurring. Recurring costs are those normally continue to operate over the project life cycle. Third is fixed versus variables. Applying costs are also be in form of fixed or variable cost. Fixed costs are those stay constant despite changes in the level of project activities. Example, fixed costs are rent, insurance premiums, or loan payments. Variable costs are those that differ or indirect promotion to change in level of the project activities like hourly labor, cost of material, cost of supply, fuel for bulldozer, and other cost or similar cost. Number 4, formal versus expected. Normal costs are those acquired in the regular process of working to finish the according based on the original planned schedule consisted by all stakeholders at the start of the project. Factors influencing the quality of estimate. First is past experience. Similar past project can be utilized as a reference or a template for the current project's estimate in terms of time and cost if there are only minor variation. Number 2, project uniqueness. The uniqueness of project can make it more challenging for the project manager to have precise and actual estimate. Third, project duration. Vagueness in project estimates are likely to amplify with the extent of project. 4, people. People are a factor can also introduce errors in estimate of time and cost. 5, planning range. The quality of estimates declines as the planning possibility of future event raises. 6, organization structure. The organizational structure are also influence cost and time estimates. in the projectized form. The team is entirely committed on the project and is working full-time, which makes work delivery faster at an additional cost. 7. Padding estimates. In order to reduce the risk of being late, most people, when asked to estimate an activity, tend to add little padding. The project schedule or budget becomes unbelievable and unrealistic if all estimates are padded. 8 is organizational culture. The culture of organization greatly influences project estimating. Several organizations support estimate padding while others promote greater precision. Plus is 9 non-project factors: delay in equipment delivery, vacation, holidays, priorities, politics, visa consultants issues, and legal affairs are all cases of non-project factors that can significantly adjust time estimates.
Methods of estimating costs. There are a number of ways to use an estimating cost for a project. A project manager may use a combination of these cost estimating methods. Number 1. Analogous estimating. This is an estimating technique that uses costs along with a measure of skill like size, weight, or complexity from the previous project to estimate costs for a similar future project. Number 2. Parametric estimating. This is an estimating technique that uses a statistical relationship between historical data or other variables. Example, square footage in construction or lines of code in software development to calculate and estimate for activity factors like scope, cost, budget, and duration cost for project completion. Number 3. Bottom-up estimating. It is a method of construction estimates by decomposing the work into more detail. Number 4. Top-down estimating. It is based on the collective judgments and experiences of top and middle management and available past data concerning similar activities. So this is the table 1.0, the sample of project estimate. Project name, WBS number 11, 3.1.1, resource, junior programmer for 40 hours, direct cost, 40 hours and PHP 2075 to PHP 1030. Indirect cost, PHP 0. Reserve, PHP 20.75. Estimate, PHP 1050.75. Methods parametric. The date, assumptions, constraints. Must obtain functional manager approval to assign junior programmer. Additional information, NA. Range, PHP 1020 and PHP 1075. Confidence level 8. This is the table 1.1 sample of parametric computation. And the project name, database alpha. The date, April 12, 2015. Project cost estimating issues. There are several issues that can really influence the ability to carry out a sensible and accurate project cost estimates. Highly complex projects are really not easy to estimate in terms of cost. Although in reality, even construction projects, which are customarily viewed as highly structured, are not exempted from harmfully expensive cost overruns. Here are some common problems with cost estimation. Short initial estimates. This caused by inadequate awareness of the project scope. In addition, there could also some failures in considering the project in relation to other organizational activities. Organizational culture that requires underestimation could also be the reason for low estimates. Starting with low initial cost estimates during project initiation may create either willingness due to the belief that top management will not fund an expensive project or unwillingness through a simple error to continue with the project. Number 2, unpredicted technical difficulties. The assumption that technical projects would be minimal is also a common problem in cost estimates. The impact of this issue could be loss of significant amount of money or worse and more tragic is the loss of life. 3. Lack of definition. Poor initial scope developments results in poorly defined features, goals, and purpose of the project. Lack of clear view of the project is the outcome of poor scoping, which can immediately spill over to inadequately realized cost estimates. A comprehensive scope, statement, and work
breakdown are necessary for the process of cost estimation and project budgeting. Specification changes. Many projects cannot avoid mid-course specification changes. A lot of projects overrun their initial cost estimates due to serious changes to scope or project specification. This situation makes the initial cost estimates basically meaningless and useless. Number 5. External factors. In most cases, inflation and other economic impacts can cause a project to overrun its estimates seriously. Creating a project budget. The forecast on what resources the project will, the required quantity of each, when they will be needed, and how they will cost are necessary to develop a project budget. In addition, the effects of potential price inflation should not be taken for granted. Uncertainty is always an element of forecast. Some may be less, but others could be more. There are two ways of data gathering to obtain input data for the budget, which are top-down budgeting and bottom-up budgeting. Top-down budgeting. This is a strategy of seeking first the opinion and experiences of top management regarding estimate project cost. The assumption is that the senior management is more experienced with past projects and is in position to offer precise feedback and estimates for future project ventures. They initiate the estimation of overall cost of a project and its major work packages. Their projections are given to the functional department levels where supplementary, more definite information is gathered. The project is broken down into detailed pieces at the functional department. Later, the project personnel who is assigned the task eventually supply input in specific costs on a task-by-task basis. Table 1.3 Advantages and Disadvantages of Top-Down Budgeting. The advantages is number 1. Aggregate budget is fairly precise. Though some individual activities are subject to huge miscalculation. Number 2, budgets are steady as a percent of total allocation and thus statistical. Then the disadvantages. Considerable error may be made for the low-level task. A lower level of budget approval is likely due to limited participation. It offers little training opportunities.
Number 3. Small expensive tasks must not be known early. This process factored into overall estimate budgeting for junior manager. 4. Converting long range budget into short range budget. 5. Problems schooling project in a suboptimal way to meet the strategic goal. 6. Outcomes of top management, limited knowledge and details of project tasks and activities. Number 2. Bottom-up budgeting. This strategy starts inductively from the work breakdown structure WBS to apply direct and indirect costs. Each project manager is required to prepare a project budget that names project activities and indicate funds requested to support this task. The functional manager developed their own document budget with requirements of the firm's budget and their own department needs.
This budget is finally forwarded to top managers who combine and simplify in order to reduce overlap or double counting. Top management is then responsible for generating the final master budgeting for the organization. Table 1.4 Advantages and disadvantages for bottom-up budgeting. Advantages. Number 1. Better motivation owing to ownership of the budget. Number 2. Should contain better information as employees most familiar with the department prefer the budget. Number 3. Enhance manager understanding and commitment. 4. Improve communication between department. 5. Senior management can focus on strategy. 6. Aggregate budget is quite accurate even though some individual activities subject to large error. Disadvantages. 1. Senior manager may dislike loss of control. Number 2. Dysfunctional behavior.
budget may not be in the way corporate objective as managers do not have strategic perspective and only will focus on divisional concern. 3. Has division from inexperienced managers. 4. Budget preparation in sluggish and disputes can occur. Number 5. Budgetary slack. Managers set targets that are too effortless to attain. 6. Fight for funds among low-level manager attempt to secure sufficient funding for their operation. Number 7. Maybe the basic for unhealthy competition. 8. This process is a zero-sum game. One person or area gain is another loss. Subordinate manager frequently believe that they have inadequate budget allocation to reach the objective. Eventually, the best and most effective is the blend of these two project management techniques with the strength of its step could be aligned in order meet the requirements of the project. The needs of project could be decided of the top and the lower level are allowed to answer the accountability. This combination poses the vision of the top management and the scale of lower level employees with the combination.
Project completed more efficiently and allows an organization to optimally use the best of what its employees have to offer. As you can see, Figure 1.0 part of 2 ways of data gathering to obtain input data for the budget. So as you can see the graphic organizer, this is the gathering to obtain input data for the budget.
Ways to improve the process of cost estimation and budgeting. Estimating is defined as the informed assessment of an uncertain event. For project manager, accurate estimate are the function for effective project planning and execution. There are a process that have been developed to assess an estimation process without proper estimating of project duration, cost, resources, rate, and other parameters. It is impossible to implement proper alternative and ultimately make timely and sound decision. There are two fundamentally different ways to manage the risk associated when the chance event take place of every project. Where one, the most familiar, is to create the allowance for contingencies which are usually 5% or 10%. Number 2, another is when the forecaster uses most likely, optimistic, and pessimistic estimate. With so many factors that called possible cost estimate inaccuracies that can be done to make project estimate the most accurate. Number 1, takes the project team and organization on estimating and entail the building project team members set up a program associated with their scope aspect of the project. Number 2, contact for an expert with experience for scenarios. 3, include for reviews and estimate validation processes into the product life cycle (PLC). Number 4, integrate risk management and contingency assessment throughout the PLC. Number 5, promote estimate review and validation after each phase of the PLC. Number 6, precise and well-timed documentation of change requests. Number 7, do research regarding historical data of the project effort, schedule, cost, raise, and resources for lesson learned and make suitable adjustments. Statistical basis should be and modify occasionally. Number 8, use mock-up, trial runs, field studies, or other stimulation as direct. Number 9, sufficiently identify identify work scope and truthfully track time against its task.